Before people move to Bellingham, there are a few questions they always ask me. Is Bellingham in a tsunami zone? Does it actually snow a lot here? Is the homeless population really that bad? And honestly, one of the funniest questions I get personally is, okay, but are you actually a good realtor or just good at YouTube? So in this video, I want to answer the 5 most common questions I get from people thinking about moving to Bellingham, Washington, and answer them honestly and genuinely from someone who's lived here my whole entire life, who grew up here, and have helped dozens of you relocate here to Bellingham. Because look, honestly, Bellingham's an amazing place to live, but it's not perfect. And if you're seriously considering moving here, I think you deserve the real answers, not just the highlight reels that you see on Instagram. And honestly, a couple of these answers are probably not what you expect, and definitely we get into some touchy topics. So let's start probably with the biggest ones that we get, and the most common ones. Like I said, they're somewhat silly, but for those of you that are moving from out of state, the one question I get asked about is Bellingham in a tsunami zone and is in an earthquake area. And honestly, one of the most common questions I get people from moving here are the ones who are moving from out of state. And technically, yes, we do live in the Pacific Northwest, so earthquakes are something that we somewhat kind of think about, but are more common from people from like Texas, Arizona, from the Midwest. But I'll also be honest with you is that most people that are living here in Bellingham, we're not walking around stressed out about earthquakes or any tsunamis that are going to be hitting us anytime soon. Now, as far as those tsunamis go, yes, there are going to be some certain areas in Whatcom County that do have signs that say tsunami warning. But if we truly get something that is coming here that is going to be catastrophic, the only good thing that we have that maybe other areas that sit on the water is we have the San Juan Islands that hopefully can go ahead and stop majority of the big waves. So when it comes to a tsunami, yes, could it happen? Yeah, absolutely. Just like, I-5 all going down from Washington down to the Mexican border, we live on the Ring of Fire. Could there be a massive earthquake? Yes. But if people are talking about how big these tsunamis or earthquakes could ever be, well, it doesn't matter what kind of, or where, it doesn't matter if you're in Bellingham or California, I think we're all pretty screwed there. So I think as a local, no one ever really thinks of tsunamis or earthquakes like other people do. And the only time I really think about them is when other people from other states are asking me about them, because it's something they probably hear in the news or read about. Now, there are some things here in Bellingham that probably kind of sometimes here and there come up on our minds. We are located in the mountains essentially, and we have 3 or 4 different active volcanoes, Mount Baker, Mount Rainier. There's different other ones that are very popular for skiing, outdoors, and all that such. But if one of those blows, I'm more scared of that than any tsunami or earthquake. Hopefully none of these things blow, but that's also one thing to kind of be aware of. Could that happen in the next 50 to 100 years? Sure. But it's really not something that any local here thinks about in the first thing they think about when they wake up, or any time during the day, even in the week, just maybe sometimes when they meet somebody from out of state. Question number 2 is I get asked, does it snow a lot here? This is a question I do get, especially from people who are moving from more of the southern states. And in reality, no, it doesn't. Honestly, probably less than people expect. I get it, we're up in the north, it gets cold, but we're in the far north, but we're getting a lot more rain and gray skies than we really are getting more in snow. So I would say every other year we'll probably get anywhere between 4 to 12 inches, maybe on a year where we get a lot of snow, we're getting 16 to 18 inches, but that's probably maybe every 3-ish years. Because Bellingham has lots of hills, and when it does snow, the city can feel a little chaotic sometimes. People kind of lose their minds over 4 inches of snow. For those of you that are moving from the East Coast, you're probably laughing at that. We don't have a lot of snow plows, and a lot of the schools do end up getting delayed or canceled just off of a couple of inches of snow. We don't really have the infrastructure only because it doesn't snow here a lot. Now, if you're driving 45 minutes east, like more towards Mount Baker in that area, then yes, you will get a lot more snow because they're higher in elevation. And like the Mount Baker School District, that there is definitely prepared for more snow than we are here in Bellingham. So yeah, just keep in mind, maybe every other year we'll get 4 inches. On a big winter we'll get 10, 12 plus inches. But it's nothing really to worry about. The only thing maybe to cross your mind is we do get a lot of freezing rain, so the black ice is something more concerning than honestly than snow is. Obviously, we're in Bellingham. A lot of our city sits more on a hilly area. So yes, black ice is something to keep in mind of. Or if it snows, starts to melt, and then it re-snows on there, that bottom layer is something to be a lookout for. But in reality, it's not very often that that happens, and it's pretty mild. You'll just get a lot more rain and clouds than you do in snow. And by the way, if you're looking at moving here to Bellingham, you like more of these videos and you're liking the content that I put out, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you are really, truly wanting to buy a house here, guys, I've helped dozens of you move, relocate to Bellingham that have found me from YouTube. So this is why I make these videos. Please reach out to me, give me a call, shoot me a text, whatever it is. And now let's get on to our third question. So question number 3, how are your schools? This is kind of on the touchier subject. Now, this is something that people do ask me. A lot of people who are relocating here do have families and who have kids. And overall, Bellingham schools have a really solid reputation. And honestly, this is one of the reasons a lot of families end up moving here, because Bellingham is so family friendly. But like any other city, every school kind of has its own personality and feel depending on the area. Some neighborhoods are more family oriented, some are more outdoorsy, some feel more quiet and residential. And that lifestyle fit matters just as much as test scores sometimes. And one thing I'd say about Bellingham in general is it feels like a very community-driven vibe. A lot of families move here specifically because they want their kids growing up around nature, trails, parks, and a lot slower pace of life, and not necessarily just the schools. And this is actually something that I help clients navigate through all the time, because depending on when you're moving here, your priority might look a little bit different. So my biggest suggestion is if schools are very important to you, we do have private schools here in the area, but also our public schools. Go do your research, go to Google, go onto some forums. You will go to some of the mom pages, or you can go onto Reddit and figure out what schools are definitely going to be the right fit for you. Again, if schools are very, very important, we have such small areas that you will have to be careful on where you're going to buy a house in. If schools aren't as important to you and you're looking more for the lifestyle, I think that's where it comes into big benefit on picking the right neighborhood, depending on what you're wanting to be. Outdoorsy, more near the city, the parks, the trails, more suburban area. There's definitely a lot of different things or a lot of different areas that will kind of fit into your vibe. Now, question number 4 is definitely one of the most common things, and that is, does Bellingham have a homeless problem and a population? And honestly, yes, homelessness is visible in Bellingham for sure, especially downtown and in some certain areas around Walmart. Now, if you're moving from the really small town and it may stand out to you more, if you're coming from a small town from a couple thousand, yes. But if you're moving from Seattle, Portland, Dallas, California, a much larger area, then it's probably gonna feel a lot, significantly less intense than what you're probably used to there. And I think sometimes online, people can make it sound like Bellingham is either like this perfect paradise or with no issues, or they make it sound way worse than it actually is. And the truth is, it's pretty much somewhere in the middle. And that might not be an answer that you really are wanting, but most neighborhoods in Bellingham feel very safe. Most people enjoy living here. There's still a really strong sense of community, and people do watch out for each other. But I also think it's really important to be honest and acknowledge that homelessness is something the city is trying to navigate and to improve. And like I said, depending where you're gonna go in Bellingham, yeah, you'll find some downtown, you'll find some kind of over by Fred Meyer's, but a big one also by Walmart. There are encampments that the city has been starting to remove. Now, this isn't to tell you right now, this video isn't to tell you whether what they're doing is right or wrong. Obviously, they're just moving them and placing them somewhere else. To where they go from, I do not know. But yes, there are areas in Bellingham that people go and try to avoid. If you go on Reddit, I promise you, you will find the worst of worst comments, and it will probably make you not want to move here. And in my opinion, from living here my entire life, is that the homeless population isn't really that bad. For those of you that are just outdoorsy, maybe you have kids, maybe you don't, a lot of the places you're going to probably aren't going to be filled with this sort of issue. It could just be some areas that you might have to go here once in a while, like downtown, or over by Walmart. And just, you'll see it when you're driving to some places, often on the freeway. But other than that, a lot of them aren't going to be in the parks, or they're not going to be in your grocery stores and things of that nature. Violence is pretty minimal, some petty crimes for sure, stealing, theft, all of that. So it's something to keep in mind of. It's something definitely that I talk about and I want to acknowledge that I'm very transparent in my videos. So please let me know if this helps for you guys. Now, for one of my favorite questions, people will ask me, okay, Aldo, your videos are great and all, but are you actually a good realtor? And I love this question, completely valid. I love it. And it's definitely a fair question. Obviously, there's a difference between a good realtor and making good YouTube videos. And at the end of the day, anybody can pick up a camera and make a YouTube video about their own city. But for me, the videos are really just an extension of how I already help clients. I was pretty much raised here in Bellingham, moved from California when I was 7 years old. I've been in real estate for 10 years now. And part of my business is helping relocating buyers. And the biggest reason I started a YouTube channel is because I was helping a lot of these relocation buyers. So for me, I think the biggest thing, just helping people feel comfortable and informed before making a massive decision on moving here to the city. Because moving to a completely different city or even a state is a massive decision. And honestly, I think people deserve transparency and real conversations throughout that whole entire process. And if you watch any of my last videos, you'll see how transparent I really am. Now, I don't want to toot my own horn or whatnot, but so yes, been in real estate for 10 years. We usually help about 30 to 40 families every single year, do over 20 to $25 million in production. So yes, I have been in real estate here for 10 years. In my first few years, I worked predominantly with buyers. I've gone through the whole process. I have everything broken down, exactly what we need to do in order to find a great home. And then the last couple of years, my business is about 50-50, half sellers, half buyers. And honestly, some of my favorite clients to work with are the ones that find me here from YouTube. We get to spend a couple of days with each other. We go out for lunch. I tour them around the city. I really get to engage with you and to figure out what you're looking for. And I like to show off Bellingham in my own city. And while we're driving for those, 3-4 hours, we really go into depth within each neighborhood. And YouTube has been definitely one of my biggest successes here within my own business, and I absolutely love all the people that I have helped and who have found me in YouTube. And I'm talking over a dozen just in the last year who have reached out to me. So if that's you, if you're watching this video and you're feeling, oh, I don't know if I should reach out to them, guys, people call or text me all the time. Does everybody move here? No, absolutely not. But there's definitely a lot of people. I've had probably over 100 conversations with people wanting to move here. Probably a quarter of that people have actually done so. Please guys, if that's you, give me a call, shoot me a text. Don't feel awkward, don't feel afraid. It's completely normal for me. Again, guys, my name is Aldo. I'm with the Levain real estate team here at Windermere in Bellingham and Whatcom County. So if you like this, make sure you like and subscribe. Shoot me a text, give me a call, whatever's easiest for you, or email. Again, my name is Aldo here with the Levain real estate team, and we'll see you next time.